retreat who would like to come on and say a word about that, safety-wise, practice-wise, community and Sangha wise, because those were big moments and experience for me. Anybody? Come on, take yourself off of mute. You'll have to unmute yourself so that we have a lot of people on so that we don't get a lot of background noise. Anybody with thoughts about how that worked?
Okay, Diana?
Dan, yes. Good morning.
Well, it was awesome. And I have to say, I went to one previously that I only did a half day, and it was really hard for me not to stay. Other than I had made a commitment, otherwise I would have begged to stay. It was, of course, beautiful as it always is. The weather was unbelievable. It was so comfortable. And I felt I'm very COVID aware, and I was very comfortable. Everyone is extremely respectful from that point. It's just a lovely environment with an amazing group of people. Yeah, it's a really good day. I actually got a great dinner offer after, and I said, you know what? I just want to stay where I am.
That's right.
So it continued. So
Wonderful.
thank you very much. It was absolutely a gift.
Wonderful. Nyla, thank you, Nyla. Nyla has chatted this, an absolute beautiful experience. I carried that piece into my world, Diana. Just amazing. Please share the May info straight away. Yes, I am in. Yeah, we all need to be in. Why? Because there is no way, we know this, to connect with our most authentic, our truest, our most joyful, our most loving selves without stillness and silence as a foundation, as a base, as the precious beginning. We're going to be doing a little investigating. Dennis, I see you. Jeanette, good to see you also. We're going to be doing an experiment today. Yeah, so I don't know how this is going to go. I would like, let's see, who may have done the big HEARTMind experience with me before? That would be Jim and Lisa, Cindy, possibly, Carrie. Do you guys recollect, maybe Adrian, I'm not sure. Do you guys recollect the big HEARTMind experience at all? And could you say anything about it if you remember anything about that? We're going to give it a try on Zoom. I don't know how it'll work, but it'll be interesting. Anybody recollect? Let me give you some reminders. It was Genpo Roshi, who is a co-teacher with Ken Wilber. And Genpo did an experience of talking to the many aspects of the storylined self. Aspects. Remember what we did on Tuesday? We were beginning to investigate on Tuesday what? Some narratives, some storylines, the things that form lenses through which we see in a distorted, biased, prejudiced way. We looked at this with real change. The name of that chapter was Seeing More Clearly. And what did I say? My message on Tuesday was this, and I'm going to hold to it, was that until you know your own bias, the bias of self, the bias of your own storylines, the bias of your own aspects or shards of self, of which we have many, we're just going to touch into a few today, and then drop back into big HEARTMind, that space that is still silent, empty, and all inclusive. Until that, we get lost in the story. We ultimately believe the storyline. I am only this. And so we're going to be talking a little bit. You're going to be resting in these little aspects of self that I'm going to be calling out. You can't call out what your experience is on the Zoom because I think it's a little too chaotic, which is what we would normally do. and what we'll try again sometime when we get back together live. But what I'm going to do is say some words that tend to go along with that narrative. Okay, I'm going to say some words that go along with a particular voice, I'll call it, or storyline. It will look something maybe like this. I want to speak to the controller. So now I want you to take a little posture, a little body movement, drop into a part of the body possibly that represents the voice of the controller. What might the controller's storyline be? And then I'm going to make some offerings. I've got to keep on top of it. I can't let things go. I've got to steer the ship or it'll go right into the iceberg. It's got to go the way I think for me to be okay. Can you hear the voice in the controller? You all have your own voice. I'd like you to capture at least one line, one sentence of that narrative for yourself, because we're going to talk about it after the practice. I'd like to speak now, might be something I say to the perfectionist. It's got to be always right. If it's not right, it can't be okay. If it can't be okay, I can't be okay. To preserve my sense of self, says the perfectionist voice, I've got to be perfect. To be deserving, I have to be perfect. To be worthy of love, attention, care, or life, I have to be perfect. Can you get the sense? Everybody, the three people who are on, I can see. Do you get what I'm saying when I say this? Can you feel the storyline shifts a little? We're going to really investigate that a little bit. Why? These are lenses, distortions. They are not the truth of yourself, though they are aspects of a conditioned self through which you see life. I want you to know that there are 10,000 million of these voices, faces, shards, aspects of self, none of which are better or worse than the other. This is a key instruction. It is not to judge them. It is not to condemn. It is not to kill them. It is not to get rid of them. This is not the practice. It is to know them and to know their ultimate desire, their ultimate wish, which is what? For your ease, right? For your well-being, for your protection, for your care. And they just got a little stuck. Like I just got to do this in order to be okay. And then we're going to see if we can't hold all of that, those aspects of self, all of those lenses, all of those perceptions in the big heart mind. And we'll rest there as we end. How's that sound? I've got three people on. Does that seem like something that could be a little interesting? It won't be as silent as our retreat, of course. This is actually active work in the meditation, could even go on to be considered a contemplation, but I do think valuable. Andy, thank you, because you're a longtime good practitioner. I want to make sure that this seems valuable. Thank you, Leanne. It won't be like maybe a typical Saturday, but I think useful as we inquire. Can I know who's speaking? Can I know the lens through which I am looking, so that I remember that this is not the purity of the world, that this is in fact out of my old conditioned, biased, sometimes shadowed, sometimes hidden, sometimes disconnected self. Like these are selves we often don't even know exist because they're so buried, they're so at the perceived, not real, core, that we mistake them as just, this is the fact. My life sucks. This is it. And that might be the victim voice. That might be the persecuted voice, right? Yeah, that might be the damaged voice. I'm not going to call those selves, not going to call those selves, because I think we can get confused when we go the damaged self. Oh, I'm going to say voice. Okay, just so we can keep that as an object of mind to be examined and investigated. Okay, maybe seem a little bit workable. Remember, this is an experiment. Don't hold me accountable. I don't know how this is going to go. don't, I think it'll be all right. My guarantee is that with intent, there is no harm. Intentioned, and I want to believe caused. Okay, thank you, Anthony. I'm confident that this could be workable. I want to make sure that we have recording on for this, so I'm just going to check. Okay. I think we have about 26 people on. Thank you all so much for choosing a beautiful Saturday to be here in Sangha together. I'm going to read this short work before I ring the bell, just so that you have some other sense of what I'm talking about. This is by Eckhart Tolle. Your acceptance of what is takes you to a deeper level where your inner state, as well as your sense of self, no longer depend on the mind's fears or judgments of good or bad. Isn't that amazing? That no longer the fear dictates, no longer the brainstem resides and determines the reality. When you say yes to the isness of life in all of its aspects, when you accept this moment as it is, you can feel a sense of spaciousness within you that is deeply peaceful. On the surface, you may still be happy when it's sunny and not so happy when it's rainy. You may be happy at winning $1 million and unhappy at losing all your possessions. Neither happiness nor unhappiness, however, go all that deep anymore. They are ripples on the surface of your essential self and being. Ripples, little notes in the big symphony. The background piece within you remains undisturbed, regardless of the nature of the outside conditions and our reactions to them, which are those voices. The yes to what is reveals a dimension of depth within you that independent, neither on external conditions nor on the internal conditions, that's the voices we're going to look at, fluctuates neither in life or death. Does not fluctuate either in life or death. Unconditioned. That big, vast, wide, and deep. Let's see how we do. So I'd like you to get prepared for sitting. We're going to begin as we always do. There are some precursors to all practice. One of them is to begin to set the body in a noble, dignified, and upright posture, if that body is available to you today, and to make adjustments accordingly otherwise. As we set the body, we set the mind into the body. We begin to gather our attention and invite it into the body experience, no longer thinking about the body, but actually simply in experience. We make contact with our feet, our legs, and hips, setting our stable base. Touching down into that base with the breath. And breathing in and out of this area of the body. gathering the attention there at the base of the spine. Feeling the way even the base of the spine knows the in-breath and the out-breath. Without language, without concepts. And with the next in-breath, breathing up it through the small, the mid, and the upper back. See if you can adjust yourself in a way that allows the release of the muscles in the back and the neck. Breathing up and into the shoulder and then down the arms, into the hands. We're suturing this self, incarnated through this body, together, feeling the aliveness for a moment in the hands. Pulsing, tingling, throbbing, aching. And then moving back up the arms, coming up the back of the neck, the back of the head, feeling the head as it rests. Beautiful balance. Align yourself so that you don't have to work so much. So we tuck the chin in just a little so the head doesn't fall back or fall forward. Coming to the top of the head, gathering the attention there. And then breathing in and letting the attention be like a gentle massage, a warm honey being poured over the front of the body, touching into the forehead, the eyes, letting the eyes be still, the cheeks, the jaw, the chin, letting this beautiful face relax, letting its true nature shine through. And then it doesn't matter how many wrinkles you have. Feeling the wisp of the breath as it touches the throat, moving down and into the body of the chest, lungs, the heart, the diaphragm, and the abdomen. And we're just going to find a space here in the breathscape or the whole of the breathscape in which to simply for a few breaths enjoy the breath. And as we're enjoying the stillness and the silence that the breath invites, seeing if we can remember the aspirations, the intentions, the wishes for our practice today. May we cause least harm. May we contribute, be of benefit. And may we do so not only for ourselves, but for all beings, beginning right here. And letting that goodness flow out. by this very stillness, by this very commitment to calming and easing the heart mind. These aspirations will be realized. And may we practice for all beings everywhere without exception, omitting none, awakening us all. And so let's take a few moments together before all the languaging to rest in the cradle of the breath. Feeling the natural sway of the body. And seeing if you can notice that as we drop into the body breath itself, that we're breathing in this vast, wide open space of stillness and silence. You'll juxtapose this awareness breath in open space, breathing it in, breathing out into it. We have a light touch on the breath. We're not zooming in. And so we do notice sounds, thoughts also happening in that open space. And we don't want to make that the problem. It isn't any at all. It is in the noticing, it is in the realization. Sound is sound, breath is breath, thought is thought, all holding the same characteristics. We're going to let the breath be first as our mind object. We're going to establish that as our home base. Remember, Tag, as a kid, you knew you were safe if you could find that base. remembering who we really are. Resting the mind in that vast, open, empty, inclusive, awakened space of the heart mind. And then I'd like you to take an adjusted position just slightly. Remember, we're going to see if we can't kind of wear for a moment the persona, the voice, and we're going to go back to the beginning of the controller. Let's see if you can take a slightly altered posture. The controller, I've just squeezed my hands like they're on a steering wheel. Taking the posture of the controller, finding the voice of this aspect. The voice of the controller. Now we're going to let thoughts come. We're going to stay soft and rested in the body, except for that one area that you have embodied the controller. My gripped hands is an example. And now we're going to see if we can find some of the voice, some of the thoughts, some of the storyline of the controller. I gave you a few examples. I'm not going to feed it too much. I'm going to offer some words. And stay in the voice of the controller. Be watchful that you don't flip over into talking about the controller. I am the controller. We're going to speak from that. As the controller, my number one job is to control. I want you to feel into the body of that. My number one job, I only have one job, is to control. I control things around me. I control things within me. If I ever think I'm losing control, I panic. I'm vigilant for watching things I can manipulate, manage, fix as a controller. Feeling into this, you can feel the artifice, you can feel the fabrication, you can feel the burden of this voice, this aspect, this controller. I am the controller. See if you can capture one of the thoughts of the controller. Gotta stay in control. And see if you can breathe the embodiment of the controller. Finding the lens, the voice. I am the controller. As the controller, my primary job is control. I must stay in control. Finding your own storyline as the controller. And you're noticing I'm already exhausted. So I'd like you to release that. Come back. Let's rest in the refuge of the breath for just a second, letting go of the voice of the controller. softening the body. And now I'd like you to take the embodiment of the demander, the perfectionist, the one who needs to get it right. Finding that voice, I am the perfectionist, saying this to yourself so you can fully embody this. I am the perfectionist. I'd like you to find something, a body that might embody that voice. I'm going to squint my eyes and move closer, like I've got to examine everything for its perfectness. See if you can find something that feels like it can make contact with that aspect, that voice. I am the perfectionist. I have the number one job of being perfect. I'm already worried about not being perfect because I'm squinting my eyes. So I'm already starting to feel into that characterization, you could say, that conditioned aspect. How do I look perfect if I'm looking? It's tricky. You might feel a stiffness, a tightness, a contractedness somewhere in the body. You see if you can then move up from that embodiment of the perfectionist, I am the perfectionist, up into thoughts that the perfectionist has. It's got to be perfect. It's the only way to be safe. It's a really good thing. I don't know why people complain. Perfection is the ultimate good. Other people, we could even notice the voice of the perfectionist. I am the perfectionist. Other people, not so much. They're a little bit lazy, a little slack. That's the lens we can project onto others. They don't quite work as hard. They don't get it quite as right. That's what we're doing in this life. We've got to get it right. The only way to be okay. Notice what particular thoughts come for you. Stay embodied. And then I'd like you to come out of that, relax, reestablish. Come back into the whole body, releasing. Softening the body. Coming back into stillness and silence as best you can. Make sure you release the contraction in that part of the body. Now we're going to talk to the judge, the critic, the condemner. I am the voice of the judge. And then take on a particular embodiment. I've got a finger raised, judge. See what happens for you. I am the voice of the judge. My number one task, my only function, is to judge. And I'd like you to feel into that. See what thoughts arise as you take on that voice of the judge. There's so much to judge, was the first thought I had. I don't even know where to turn. Everything has kind of failed and insufficient. I like judging things going where the finger goes instead of towards me, but I'm noticing the real judging being towards myself. I am pathetic. I am failed. I am insufficient, not good enough. And then I like the other better. The projection of that, of course, is what? The same for the other. You are failed. You are deficient. See what other thoughts, voices of the judge. I am the judge. My number one task is judging. See how that feels. See how you know this judge as it lives in your body, this body. See how you see the world through the voice, through the lens of the judge. Through the embodiment of this aspect, this conditioned aspect. And then before we end, see what you think about others who judge like this. What's their projection? What do you think about others who judge when you see judging on the other? It's not very kind. It's not very nice. We even judge that. Who do they think they are? Coming back into the voice of the judge. And then seeing if you can let that go, releasing that contractedness, coming back into the body. You may need to unwind the body a little. That's actually better for the release. Don't get stuck. Coming back into the breath, into the softened body. What if we now take on the voice of the one who wants, the wanting one? I am the wanter. I am the craver. How about that? Let's see if we can't find contact with that. The wanting. I am the wanter, the craver. Take that on. Find a way to feel into that. And I've just created a big hollow space in the belly, like a hungry ghost that has like no bottom. And feeling into that emptiness, that hollowness. And if I were going to do a hand pass, should be grabbing, just grabbing things and drawing it towards me. And I am the voice of the wanter, the craver, taking on that body. My only function is to want. And see what we notice as we feel into this. I can feel the desperation, the unresolvable hunger, thirst, wanting. Can you feel the no way for this to work? There's no way. All this wanting, and before I even get the one object, I want the other, and then the other. There is no end. See what's true for you. I am the voice of this wanting. My only task is wanting. I want to be okay. I believe I can be okay if I can only get, have, keep, hold, get more. Feeling into that for a few breaths. And then releasing it, shaking it out. And as we're resting, see if we can see then the way we project that wanter, that wanting one, onto others, and what the believed thoughts are that we often hold. See if you can make contact with some of those judgments, and then just coming back to rest. Shaking that off, coming back into that open space, the breath breathing in and out that open space. The voice that just came to mind, I'm not going to do, but I am going to call it out. It's similar to the wanting voice, but I'm going to call it the seeking voice, the seeker. Tends not to be the same because the wanter tends to want things and food and sex and drugs and activity and filling in a more material way. The seeker, though I don't want to go through the whole thing, I just want you to know, I think they reach for concepts, goodness, enlightenment, wisdom, love. And just check in on that. It has a slightly different quality. It's not usually in through the body sense. It kind of is seeking mind. And I just want you to sense the difference so that you can know them. The seeker is a seeking mind. And we're not going to go through that whole one, just for that distinction. Staying as soft as you can, as released as you can. Can we now make contact with the voice of the damaged one? The damaged one. Finding that voice, taking on that embodiment. I'm going to clutch up here, somewhere near my heart. And what naturally happened is I just started rocking. So I am the damaged one. This is the damaged voice. This is the body of the damaged ones. I want you to see if you can recognize it. Feel into it. See if you can find the voice, the thoughts of the damaged one. This hurts. It's too hard. Ouch. Why me? Maybe a belief thought that this can't be healed. This is forever. I'm defective now or broken. Make contact with any thoughts that arise as the voice of the damaged one. My number one job is to recognize, to know damage. And the belief thought is I'm damaged beyond healing, beyond repair. This is who I am. So we're going to shake that off. Let's come back to neutral as best we can. These voices have lenses through which we see ourselves and others. You could imagine as the damaged one how you would perceive others. So let's move from that to the fixer. Let's imagine a slight posture change that might embody the fixer. My arms are definitely wanting to get in there. Tighten up the bolts. Open to fix something for someone. Directed attention outward, inward, wherever it's going. I am the fixer. My job is to fix. I fix things that are in me. I fix things in others. I spend all of my time fixing the things that I believe are broken. The fear of the fixer is that you can't fix enough. No matter how much you fix, there's another broken thing, another piece of damage. The fixer wants to often look okay, wants to be in control, wants to feel like there's some authority in repair. Checking in with the job and the voice of the fixer, seeing the way you now perceive the world from this lens. I am the fixer. When I fix, I am good. When I am good, other things are good. This is the way to be safe. We're happy to be fixing. I see a lot of broken things. I can't fix them all. I get a little overwhelmed. I get distressed when people don't let me fix. See what the voice of the fixer has to say. See what the way the fixer perceives others. Do we like other fixers and don't like people who are too broken or won't let us fix them? Don't take our good advice, our instruction, our resources, whatever it is we're offering, guidance. And then releasing that, coming back, just resting. Now I'd like to speak to the rebel. See if we can take a particular embodiment of the rebel. I am the rebel. Say that to yourself. My number one task or job is being rebellious. I got a fist and a face, and that's kind of what's coming for me. See what comes for you. And I am the rebellious voice. What does this voice have to say? You're so messed up. They've let things get out of hand. It's completely ridiculous. I've just got to reject and fight against it all. I see everything as failed and unjust and messed up. And I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not a part of it. I reject it. I feel pretty entitled to aggress against what I think the causes are. I'm not really looking too much at myself, other than I'm feeling somewhat proud, a little arrogant in the rebelliousness for me. Like you're not joining that messed up party. feel pretty separate from what most is happening. See what you notice. See what projections you place on the other as the rebellious voice, the rebellious one. Feel into the body, see what's there. A lot of tightness, a lot of energy, heat, aggression. Then let it go. You will not connect with all of these in the same way. Some are buried, some are shadowed, some are right there, right in the identity. Just resting back in Buddha being. No conditioned self. The one who can hold them all. Now I'd like you to take on the voice of the good one, the nice one, the Glenda, my alter ego, the good witch, the one who works to get it right and good, is nice, polite. See if you can find an embodiment for that. I am the good one. I am nice, I'm polite, I'm kind. See what you notice. I want you to like me. I don't want you to hurt me. I want your approval. I want to get security in this way. Just see what comes for you. If I'm nice, I'll be safe. And then see what you, through this lens of the voice of the I am the nice voice, I am the nice one, see what you notice about others. Will you take care of me? Will you approve of me? Please don't hurt me. What comes as you relate to others in this embodiment? I don't want to be trouble. I don't want the conflict. And then shake that out. So we're getting the idea of the contractedness, the constructedness, the fabricatedness, the separation, the limitedness of all of these aspects, identities, voices, and their projections. You probably feel it pretty significantly in the body. Maybe a particular mood or emotion. Let's see if we can't try on some other voices from a different angle. How about the voice of the secure one? I am secure. My job is being secure. See where you feel that in the body. See if you notice any particular thoughts or emotions. Where do you feel that sense of security? How do you know it? How do you see the world and others? And then letting that go. And then speaking to the voice, to the qualities of the generous one. I am generous. My number one job is gifting, giving, receiving generosity. And what does that feel like in the body? What's your relationship to the world and to others? What thoughts or emotions arise as you hear the voice of the generous one? And we'll just do maybe two more. How about if we let that one settle back, open up? How about if we now speak to the voice of the playful one? I am the playful one. I am playful. My only task is playing. Life is fun, an endless adventure. Others are playmates. Just taking on the body, feeling into the particular emotions or thoughts that arise. Is there any demand with this? Where does this playfulness come from? We could do lots of others. I am the peaceful one. I am the settled or steady or calm one. I am the wise one, the loving one. We could take on all of these. But what I'd like to do now is actually let all of the conditioned self go, whether you perceive them as positive or negative. And I'd like you to rest in the original one, the one before all conditions, before injury or damage or fear, before survival. Before safety. The open one, the innocent one, the new one, the infant. Your truest nature. And see what happens as we let all those shards of conditioning fall away. Find that body. Feel that space. Feel its boundless, limitless nature. This is the one, the being that is not conditioned by wanting or not wanting. By having or not having. Not conditioned by external circumstance of color or gender or age. Not conditioned by roles or rules. Breathe into this body, this Buddha body. This awakened one. And here there is no lens, there is only what is. Clear seeing. There is no one who likes it or doesn't like it. There's just seeing what's here. Present, this moment. Opening, including, allowing, experiencing. And this unconditioned one, it has no voice. It holds all the others. And the big mind creates the space, the holding space, the knowing space, the recognizing space, in which all are welcome and invited, all these aspects, none rejected, none excluded. Feeling into that spaciousness, no struggle, no rejection, no grasping. And then we can invite the big heart in and see what it offers. It, in fact, is no longer empty. It is completely interconnected, completely known and held with love and compassion. We can feel for and with the damaged one, the victim, the fearful one, the judge, the critic, the demander, the controller, the perfectionist, playful one, the calm one, the peaceable one, the joyful one. All are welcome. And then from this wide open, spacious view, what's the relationship to the world and to others? Different aspects, different voices, different elements of the boundless. Feel into this body. And you can sense immediately that it's not limited to one's skin or organs or arms and legs. It extends beyond immediately. Arms so wide, they hold the whole of the world. This big heart mind. holding everything and everyone. And let's just rest here. Letting whatever voices appear and change and fade, just like the breath and sound. Being held. Inviting all of these aspects home. No longer cut off or projected or shadowed, repressed, they're all welcome. May we all be happy and have the causes for true happiness. May we all be free from constriction, contraction, condemnation, identities, all affliction. May we rest and dwell in the great arms of the big heart mind, our true nature, our real identities. May we offer this as a gift to ourselves and the world. So that all may be well. And may this practice contribute so be it. Take a little extra moment for that untangling, especially when we wear a lot of the tension. You can feel it, can't you? Of those false identities. And it is not to reject them, is it? It's to welcome them, hold them, and understand how they came alive. But we have to be careful because too often our habit is to shove them under, kill them off, cut them off, separate ourselves from them, or to project them onto others, to which we then aggress or attach. or cling or, right, get into some kind of movement. So I'd like to hear how this experience was for you, what you noticed about it. Yes, thank you, Shivam. It's transformational for me as well. It's so beautiful to see the narratives and that I can then hold them and love them instead of have to buy into them or to kill them off, either one. So I'm glad that this was helpful. Others, we're going to only have a few moments. We took a lot of time for this on purpose. But what was your experience?
It's Carrie.
Carrie, yes. Good morning.
For me, I felt myself many a time saying, well, no, I'm not a controller, or no, I'm not, this or that, and having to just really, step back again and
Yes.
sit with the breath. And yeah, that was a struggle.
Yes. We don't really like the idea, do we?
No, because it has negative connotations. So
Yeah. We have these negative ideas and then these positive ideas.
right,
And
it's all part of it.
yeah, it's easy to forget they're all just narrative. And that, the good ones we like and the other ones we don't like. And when we like it, we're open. And when we don't like it, we're closed. But actually, all of these aspects we know existed for the purpose of protection, for the purpose of safety, for the purpose of well-being. This was their origin, all of them, however harsh they felt or however contracted they were. And our tendency is to try to cut those off. And as best we do, we're going to put them on others. That's a part of the problem with that. The shadow ends up falling onto the other, not just to us. And can we see all aspects as merely facets of the diamond? Each piece, right? That we get to claim our woundedness without just believing we're the wounded one. That we can take ownership of the generous one without believing we're have to give everything. Right? We tend to fall into all or nothings very, very often and easily as it relates to these voices, these identities, and these shards of aspects. And I want us to all be careful because it's not just that you're doing it to you, you're doing it to others. And it's not just that you're doing it to others, you're doing it to you. And so, can we form compassionate, kind, loving, inclusive relationship to it all? To it all. Could you feel the pain in the damaged one? Could you feel the fear in the right? Some aspects of this inquiry. Can we open and include? When asked to judge, I immediately thought I can do that. Kind of surprised how easy it was. Oh boy, isn't it? And I sure didn't like it when others judged. Yes, we do not like it when others judge, but we need to recognize what's really there in both the judge, right? See, the judge doesn't stand alone, does it? There's no standalone here. There's no damaged one without a condemning one. There's no judge without believing you're failed. There's right. See these how these play off. You could feel like, oh yeah, just like the other guy over there doing that thing. He made me. I wasn't damaged till the condemner stepped in. I was just doing my thing. Till, there you go. You're not so great at that. Right. These are interwoven, interplayed. They're not so distinct, but it is good to recognize like, wow, I can really take ownership of that. I could really jump onto Glenda, the good one. I love her, right? I love that identity until somebody tells me I'm not. And then, right, wait a minute. And the truth is what? All of it. Sometimes in that open, spacious reality. It's true. And sometimes I'm in fear. And when I'm in fear, I can become a judge. I can become a critic. I can become a condemner. I can become a controller. I can become a fixer. I can, for a moment, but it's a moment. It's not an identity. And can I know where I truly rest? Can you feel where the rest really is? Yes, I will welcome you all. And as I see you and welcome you to the table, I will not be rejecting. I will not be judging of that, not only in myself, but not in others as well. But we need to know them. The goal here is not to keep them in the shadow. I reached for more tea, need more story, then fidgeted, uncomfortable story, on and on. I hung on to the playful one. Yes, good news. Because remember, all aspects, not self. This is not the self. These are all aspects of conditioning. And we have voices and they have feelings and there's, right? Look at the committee you're walking around with all day, every day. And can we smile and go, okay, here it is. Here's the condemner really stepping in. This is going to be our practice this week. Can we name? Because remember, what we can name, we can see. What we can see, we can hold. What we can hold, we can offer kindness, care, compassion, and attention. Do you get this? What we can see, we can know and hold. What we can hold, we can love. And this is the practice, not to get rid of, not to cut off, because they're not really you. They're not really self. They're egoic element developed out of a wish for safety, protection. Challenging and enlightening. Yes, wonderful. The committee, love the, yeah, isn't it true? We're walking around with that all day long. Can you know who's talking? Can you know who's looking? Can you know who's reacting? This is useful. Remember, to that extent, I am free. To that extent, I am free of the contractedness of it. I can say, okay, sure, the wounded one who believes there's nothing but woundedness. The angry one who believes there's nothing but things to be angry about. The desperate one who's just looking for something else, anything, right? Not a problem, not any peace. As we know this, we are free of it. As we know this and see this, I can hold it and then love it and invite it home. So it's already a little after 9. I knew it would be a long meditation. I thank you so much for enjoying participating in this experiment with me. I feel safe enough with all of you to run the experiments. Some will go well, some will not necessarily go well. Can we hold them all? And I believe the answer is yes, together we can, can't we? Because we started with the right intention, didn't we? May we be well, may we be happy, may we be blessed and know our blessings. Love to all of you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I've got a lot of other writing here on the chat. Please take a look at it. I'm not going to turn this off too quickly before you get a chance to review the chat yourself. Love, blessings, peace, and ease to all of you. May we hold all the selves and the one and the many. Love to you all. Blessings. I'll see you soon. I'm not going to kill the meeting so that everybody has time to take a look at the chat if they like. Be well, everyone.